Hello and welcome to Soccer 101 for the Cherokee Impact. My name is John Renan and I am the director of the recreational program here for the Cherokee Impact, along with Noreen Corshane. You guys have probably heard by email. We are the primary managers of the program. And I wanted to talk to you today about some important things that you would like to know about Cherokee Impact from us for this fall season. So the most important thing I want to tell you is that the time that you're going to have with your children, although it may seem very lengthy right now, is quite precious and it will be gone before you know it. And so the most important thing you need to do is just enjoy the time you get to see your child play. And we have a lot of times reasons for forgetting that. And I just want to remind you that if every time you go out there, remember you have one job. Enjoy the time with your child. If you are a parent volunteer who's helping us, and you may have a little bit more to go on in terms of seeing the other players that are out there and helping them, but try to enjoy the time that you're seeing with your child because that's literally the most important thing you will do in this program. All right, so from a player development perspective, we are focused on the child. And so that means that we're going to do things that are appropriate for the child, and we're going to do things that are going to be helping the child progress in their development as players, right? So we are going to be developmentally appropriate. We don't teach passing to U6 players because U6 players don't understand what a pass is. They may pass the ball to you because you tell them to give you the ball, but that's because they trust you. But that kid they've never seen before, they don't want to give their toy to somebody else. And so when you are out there with your child, remember that just because you tell them to pass and they kick a ball doesn't mean they know why they're doing it or what the intention of it is. So every step along the way, we're going to be focused on what's developmentally appropriate for the child. Okay, and so what we want to do basically is provide the child with a series of problems, and then give them the skills to be able to solve those problems. And then we try to evaluate how they're doing on that, and we give them the skills and give them more problems. Work on the skills, work on the problems. So, but again, it's about the development of the player and not the results of the game. I do not care if your team goes undefeated this year in U8 rec soccer. You're not going to the U8 national championships for recreational soccer because they don't exist. The only people keeping track of the score are the adults. The children do not know that. They know that they went out there to play. And you need to keep that in mind. You're focused on your child, you're focused on their development, and you're focused on their experience, not necessarily on the results of the game. So try to keep that in mind. I know it's going to be tough. So some key the things about our coaches. The first is that they are all volunteers, and that means they stepped up to do a job, maybe because they have experience, maybe because nobody else did, but they stepped up. All right. They are supported through our program. I'll describe a little bit later, but they are provided the resources they need to be successful, and they're supported on their journey as coaches. None of them are perfect, and all of them have their own lives outside this. So we have to basically adjust to their schedules because they're the ones who volunteered. So if their practice night is not super convenient for you, that might be because that's the only time they can make it to practice, right? So they are supported. They are evaluated by me, and that is during both practices and games. They are provided with resources to carry out practices. They can join the group practices that I offer for each age group. And so there's a lot of opportunity for me to provide them feedback on their growth as coaches. Okay, and remember, you may have gotten an email from me or from Noreen already about the fact that your team does not have a coach yet. We do not cut a team because we don't have a coach for it. We find a coach and we provide support to that coach. So if you have received an email from me that says your team did not get a coach, please consider volunteering. The standards for doing it are not super high, and you will be supported and you will be helped as much as possible. And we're grateful for you volunteering. So when you come to a practice, these are the things that you see. Number one, when your kids signed up to play soccer, they signed up to play. They want to run around. They want to dribble a ball. They want to be engaged. So we should see them being engaged as often as possible. That means there should be limited standing around. There should be a lot of doing things as opposed to coaches standing around and talking to them. And you should see them not standing in long lines waiting to do one thing for a few seconds and then going back into that line. All right, the second is that the players get a lot of touches on the ball. We know that the players who are coming out here are very much only practicing at practice. And as a result of that, we need to maximize our touches on the ball there. And they shouldn't be running laps for warm up. And if you are just trying to figure out how good the practice is going, just watch your kid for a few minutes, count how many touches they get on the ball. Right? So the practices should be focused on skill development primarily and not on tactics. The tactics are going to be very rudimentary, and they should really be focused on skill acquisition and skill development. And if they're not doing that, then that is something that I would address with the coach, because tactics may be great to help you win games, but they don't develop the skills that help kids get better at soccer. So we focus on a set of core skills. I'll talk about that a little bit later. Right? And the other thing you should see is they should be playing a lot of soccer. So if you've got an hour practice, you should expect a lot of that practice to be scrimmage or activities where it looks like a game. Right? And if it's not game-like, if they're standing around doing the same drill over and over again, then that gets into the point where they're not going to be engaged. So there should be a lot of soccer at the practice. All right, and of course, this is really not a problem, but your coaches should be very positive. They should be encouraging the kids, helping them get better. Right. So for the practices, are you 5 and 6? That's once a week, Tuesday and for the U6 and Thursday for the U5. U8s, that's when the only time they practice. The U8s can have 1 or 2 practices depending on the availability of the coach, and the U10 and up have 2 practices a week. All right. Almost all the practices are hour long. The older players can have longer periods for their practices, but almost all of them are an hour long. Right. What should you expect for your child to practice? Number one is you can get them there on time. Life happens. We know that. If you can't make it there on time, that's okay. But if you can avoid being the person who's always late for practices and games, that would be great. They do need to bring a ball. Your coach is going to have a couple of extra balls with them. If they're working in my group training situation, I will have extra balls for them as well, but you'd expect them to bring a ball. And they must wear shin guards. Must wear shin guards. I don't care what other clothing they're wearing, they must wear shin guards. All right. And of course, being ready to play. So they should be out there anticipating that they're going to have some fun. Right. For the game, we set up the rosters so that every kid gets at least 50% playing time. That's a guarantee. All right. They should be in the U10 and up age groups, playing more than one position in a game. They cannot play goalkeeper for more than a half in a game under any circumstances. So a team needs to have at least 2 goalkeepers each game, and sometimes it's 3 or 4. All right. And then, of course, this gets back to the nature of soccer being player-centered, and we struggle with this mightily. The adults want to tell the players what to do. They want to help them along during the game, but the best coaches are the ones that are talking to the players on the sideline and not screaming at the players that are on the field. And so that is a cue for you in terms of like what you should be doing, but also how you can help to evaluate your coach. All right. And so remember, guaranteed 50% playing time. No child is ever denied playing time based on a lack of talent or a lack of attendance at practice. Right. So most times it's at least 60% or 75%. So, but at least 50% playing time. If you have an issue with that, you would first bring it up with a coach, and then if it's still not addressed, then you would bring it up with me. So at the games, there are 2 sidelines, one for parents and one for coaches and players. You're on the parent sideline. Okay. You do not stand on, around, or near the goal. You do not talk to your child who is the goalkeeper and tell them what to do while the rest of the game is going on. All right. And we hope that you would arrive 30 minutes before the game time. So if it's a 10:30 game, that's when the game starts. So your actual game time arrival would be at 10 o'clock. Coaches will tell you to get there, try to be there as early as you can. You don't have to have snacks. We have gotten away, over time, snacks have become like a big thing. If you want to bring snacks, but just remember, if you do bring snacks, make sure they're not junk. All right. So for you guys who are U5, U6, we only wear the white T-shirts, and we put vests on the team, one of the 2 teams. For the other groups, once you get your schedule, if you are the home team, you're listed first in the schedule, you're going to wear red. But I always tell them, bring both jerseys. Maybe you have to loan a player to another team. Maybe somebody's forgotten the jersey. There's some other stuff that happens. So every week, just be safe, bring both jerseys. All right. So the next aspect for us is our Cheer Don't Steer program, and this is crucial for us because this is where we want you to sit back and enjoy the game. I know you want to make sure your child scores a goal. I know you want to make sure that your child doesn't kick the ball into the wrong goal. I'm telling you that the advice that you're shouting at them during the game is not helping them get better, and the only person that's making feel better is you. So think about that as you go through this. Cheering is great, but telling them what to do is not like a great strategy for soccer. We have had issues in the past with negative adult interactions, and so the goal for you is to behave well for everybody. If you notice an issue, try to deal with it in an appropriate manner. All right. And so remember that appropriate manner extends to referees, spectators on both teams, the other players on the field, and the coaches. Right. So all of you are expected to behave in an appropriate manner and pay attention to behavior towards referees. We have a lot of times where people are complaining about the referees, and that complaining about the referees yields other people complaining about the referees and causes the referees to stop playing or stop refereeing, and therefore we have a lack of referees and a lack of experienced referees, which causes more of that. All right, so your sportsmanship in this area is expected, and peer pressure is a potent force. So if you are not doing that and making sure that other people are not doing that, it's less likely that inappropriate behavior happens. So please expect that mistakes are going to be made by the coaches, by the players, and by the referees, and that nobody is out there trying to or teaching players how to injure or hurt people. It just doesn't happen. So this is a player-centered game. Contact happens. Players are not out there with intent to injure, and so we've got to make sure we keep that in mind as we go through this season. Treat people with grace. Okay. So remember, non-specific praise is okay. Specific tactical information, not okay. All right, it only makes you feel better. It doesn't help your child. Remember, it's a player-centered game. All right, these are some examples of cheer right here. So keep those in mind. Those are great things to say to any player on any team, and these are things you should not be saying. And there is strong reasons for all those. So keep that in mind. Remember, these are specific tactical things, and these are not appropriate. These are good things. All right. So we do offer group training, and that is where myself and Coach Paul lead a group of players through practices that are organized around teams and individual, and we model the types of things I've been talking about. So Mondays at 5:30 is a U8. This is on field. It says field 7 here, but it's field 10. And then at 6:30, it's U10. On Tuesdays, it's U6 at 5:30 and U12 at 6:30. Thursdays, U5 at 5:30, and then U14 at 6:30. All right, so that's on field 10 at Badger Creek. It's the group training. If your team is attending group training, try to get there a few minutes early, especially if you're that late one, because the parking spots are going to be a little bit full. So it may take you another minute or two to get to the field. So try to keep that in mind as we go through that. That group training is based on whether your coach has opted into the program or not. All right. It's focused on our 3 core skills, and many teams use that for one of their practices a week. Right. So what are our core skills? Shield and turn. That means that when you are facing the wrong direction, you know how to turn and go the correct way. Using your body as a shield is an important thing for players, and it's a very difficult thing for them to do. Most of the time when they turn, they expose the ball, they lose the ball, and then the ball goes the direction they don't want it to go. Second is being able to dribble past an opponent. This is a tough thing for kids to do, and it is very much one of those things you have to work on from the beginning of their career in order for them to get better. And the last thing is gaining control of the ball. This becomes more difficult as the ball starts bouncing and flying in the air. And so what we really want to see kids do is when the ball comes to them, gain control of it. Don't kick it away. So we'll talk about a pinky promise with the younger players, and that's basically when the ball comes to you, kicking it away is the last thing you do. All right, we're going to skip the COVID protocols. If you are out for school as tested positive, then you are out for soccer. We don't have to notify us of a negative test of the program, but you do need to notify your coach that they will be out and they are positive for COVID, and notify anybody who might be exposed to test. All right, and so let's keep that in mind. Last thing here we're talking about is what you would do with your child. Remember, they would like to play soccer. If you can do it in the yard, in the park nearby, that's great. The more often you play, the better they're going to get. And then finally, there's a lot of soccer on TV. Go to a game. Go see Atlanta United play. Go see some older kids play. Watch soccer, and you can pick up so much from watching it. So play during your free time. Play with your child. Watch soccer on TV. All right. Thing, you are not going to be happy with something. If that thing makes you that you can't deal with the coach, like it's a coach thing, then please first deal with the coach. Anything else, contact me. Here's my email address. I am great at email, and I'm terrible at phone calls. So email me, leave that in there, and then get back to me as soon as possible if you have an issue. A lot of times parents wait till the end of the season. They're like, we were so disappointed in something. And I cannot help you if you're disappointed in November. I can help you if you're disappointed in August. All right. And so keep that in mind as you go through the season. If you have issues, first try to deal with it through your coach. And then after that, try to deal with it through me or through Noreen, depending on what the thing is. Okay. So Noreen's in the office, I think, 4 days a week. I don't think she's there on Friday. And then you can always email her or you can call the office. All right. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me by email. Thank you very much.